What's up, everyone? I'm your host, Tiger Stacker, and welcome to another episode of Stack Collector. I'm joined with my co-host over here, Frostbyte. How you doing, Frosty?
I'm doing well, brother. How are you?
Oh, I'm about as good as it can be. Surrounded by silver. How much better can it get?
You could feel better. You could look better. You could look better. You could look better. Sorry about that. Just kidding.
Understood. So we got a very good topic for you today. Actually, it's kind of a revisit. About 2 years ago, when Frosty and I were just starting our friendship, one of our very first projects was talking about some vintage silver, which you can see four examples of it right here. It was made by a company called B.R. McKay and Sons. And if you look at the individual bars, there's three droplets. They used to call them water droplets. Later on, they called them blood droplets. And the reason for that is because what happened with the harvesting of the silver. Now, this was happening, I believe, in the 1970s, maybe 80s. And B.R. McKay and Sons, I think they had a factory out in Indiana. At that time, they were taking X-ray films, and back then we didn't have digital X-ray films. We had the regular films, and silver was actually deposited on the films to create the images to allow you to see what was going on with someone. So basically, what happened was you had B.R. McKay and Sons, maybe some other companies. They would use a solvent to get the silver to come off of the films and then try to harvest the films back into bars. Now, they never really were quite 100% accurate with their weights. You had a little bit above 10 ounces, a little below 10 ounces, a little bit above 100 ounces or below, but that's how they made them back then. And they're labeled with B.R. McKay and Sons that were 3/9 fine silver plus the water droplets. So what had happened was, oh shoot, we didn't go in the news. I'm so sorry. I just rolled with it.
That's okay. Keep rolling. Keep rolling. Go, go, go.
Okay.
I got my Turkish coffee. I'm all good, man.
Okay. So basically, what happened was their cyanide is a chemical you don't want to mess with. That stuff will kill you.
That's a fact.
And it'll kill you faster than arsenic. So what happened was some of their employees were getting sick, but they just kept on doing what they were doing. And then eventually one of their employees passed away from the exposure to cyanide. This then became a very ugly legal suit. And the state of Indiana tried getting B.R. McKay out of his home state of Utah, which never happened. The state of Utah would not allow him to be extricated. And as I understand the story, the lawsuit eventually just fizzled out because, they just couldn't get him out. So this became a very interesting thing. Now, obviously, the company went belly up, and the bars are still out there of different sizes, and they actually have significantly higher premiums. Now, I bought mine, all four of these in 2023. I haven't bought any more after four of them, but they still maintain somewhat of a premium even to this day. And we wanted to revisit this to see, where is this subject now 3 years later. Actually, it was about 2 years later, but I think I bought in 23. Let's look. Yeah, April 23. So where are we? What's going on? What happened? Are they maintaining such a high premium? Are they not? With the varying prices in silver, what are we going to be doing? If you own one or more, and if you sell one or more, what will happen? What do you think will happen? So that's kind of the topic for today. So
That was the topic for today.
okay, correct my English. Here we go again.
No, that's a great summary. And again, Tiger and I did videos on this. We did individual ones where we took varying aspects and we broke them down. Tiger went over the scientific. He went over all the details, talked about cyanide, how it affects, what happens, talked a little bit about x-rays. And then I came through and we did the mystery, the story aspect, and talked about why there was such an issue in Utah, what the conspiracies that caused were. And then we came back together and we talked about the price of the bar. And as Tiger and I were chatting the other day, he's like, well, looking at price of silver and what was going on. And then as we started to talk, he flipped one of these over and it's like, you know what? We have a perfect opportunity to look at some of this information, right? We see what's going on with silver. We see the volatility in this cycle, in this little tunnel that it's in. What happened with the price of these blood bars? And so Tiger put some numbers together. So we'll show you those numbers really quick, and then we want to just chit chat. If people want to know about the case, we'll talk about the case. If people want to know about what the blood bars are, if people want to look stuff up and talk about a certain bar, we can pull one up. So we really wanted to make this open and interactive. So Tiger, do you want to share your information? And again, I have everything pulled up. So if anybody else, anybody wants specific information, we have that ready.
Okay. Now these are the four that I bought in 2023, the prices that I paid, the weights, and the price per ounce. Now I bought all four of them in auction from T the Silver Stacker. And this one's an outlier here because I had a heck of a battle against Long Live Coins, and he kind of threw a last minute bid that kept me at the higher price. But
real quick, before you go on, I'm going to interrupt you. T the Silver Stacker, if you happen to watch this, suck it up, Buttercup. This is what happens when you sell.
Yep, pretty much.
No, but what's important is that there's a couple of valuable lessons in this. And so we want to talk about that too. So I was just joking with T because, a lot of people look back at stuff and go, why did I sell that? But those were some good times. Those auctions were a ton of fun.
Oh yeah, they were. And actually, to be honest with you, that one that is the outlier, that actually created the friendship that I have with Long Lived, because I thought maybe he did that out of pure meanness. Well, he might have, I don't know. But we used to battle quite a lot in auctions. But eventually, we got to a point where the battling became a friendship. So, it was a small price to pay for a good friend.
And that's what our community is about.
So now, as you look down here, these are prices that I had looked up on May 13th. Okay. The bottom ones are the ones that actually sold. Okay. And you can see that in the price. These higher ones have the higher dollars per ounce, which haven't sold, especially this one, which I think is supremely ridiculous. There's no way in heck I'm going to pay $3.30 for anything, including a blood bar. But, currently you can see them between plus or minus $100, maybe a little bit more. But these ones are not as off, but this one's an outlier. So they have maintained a premium, and plus or minus for the most part may have doubled for the ones that have sold. And if you look at the price of silver, it's done a little bit more than doubling. So they haven't maintained their higher premium on the value of the vintage and the history, but they have maintained. So then you have to ask yourself, if you had to sell, if we hit a reason to sell, whether it's SHTF or a personal SHTF, would you be getting, a decent amount back? So what do you think, Frosty?
Well, I mean, we've talked about this a lot when we talk about collectability versus stackability versus investability, right? And so there's a couple things to look at here. Is now a good time to buy collector's pieces? And if you guys think the answer is yes, then put a number 1. If you think the answer is no, or you think it's actually time to sell, then put a number 2 in. It really doesn't matter the number 2. It's just I want to see if you would buy a collector's piece at these prices for something like this. The reason that we want to ask that question is because as we talk about this topic, it's important for you to look at why numismatics, the stories and the studies of the semi-numismatic, the numismatic itself, and then your numismania, your I always forget what they call that. It's your elongated cents and your tokens and your metals. But it's all that memorabilia. And so if you look at those aspects, sometimes they can actually help you, especially when we see downturns in silver. And when you look at this information that Tiger has up on his screen, and you look at if you're looking at a spot price during this time frame, what was the deal? He was paying $20 over spot, $18 over spot. And so it was basically twice spot. Okay. So when he was buying this, so very, very, very high premiums. Now, when we look at the prices of those that have sold, you won't see those high premiums, right? And so this tells you a little bit about when you should be buying something and when you should not be. So this really tells a very good story. Now, Tiger, when you did the July 15th, 23, the big battle with Long Lived, I love that story because, again, it ties community together. But those were good silver times, right?
Yes, they
People
were.
were spending, you were working solid hours, you had plenty of money to burn. And if you were to look at it from a collector's standpoint right now, did you make a good investment?
I guess I did, because of what prices are now. If it was just a spot, I'm above every one of them, including the outlier. If you look at what they've sold for recently on eBay, even more so. Maybe not as much on a percentage basis. It didn't keep its percentage of premium, but it's still somewhat of a profit.
Okay, no, perfect. And that's exactly the answer that I was hoping you were going to go with, because that's the right attitude to have. Right. And so you guys, Tiger and I had a live stream the other night where we talked about a whole bunch of stuff, but we ended up talking a little bit about Tiger Self. Go over and watch that. It was a really great story of the battle and the things we get to go through. But there's a point that I want to bring into this conversation. And this conversation is sometimes you can get caught up and overspend. That may have hurt you down the long run. Tiger was in a situation where he spent way more money than he got if he was to sell them right now. And if he took straight 1 ounce bars or 1 ounce rounds, he would have gained significantly more money than with buying the collectible item. But here's the thing. It works the opposite when you're losing value. So as you lose value, significant value, mind you, we're at 74 and we were up at 100, but a year and a half ago, we were at 30.
Yeah.
So you like take it into perspective, right? We had had a wicked ride the last year and a half. And so when it comes to this particular item, you probably won't see much of a decrease in value should spot drop back down to $30 or $40, because that collectability, people will see those higher prices and they will look at blood bars and they will see those sold prices. And those values will not drop nearly as much as the silver itself. And that's where those numismatic, that's where those collectability pieces help you in a downturn, right? Those are where those people with money, once you establish those networks and connectivity, that's where you can recoup quite a bit of money should the market downturn in retrospect. That's where you gain back your investment. But those are rare. Those events are rare. And yeah, nice knife, right? That's a beauty gift from Pedro. But that's a story for another time. But I really like this. I really liked the idea of having Tiger talk about the purchases and the stories about this. So I want to jump back into the story of McKay themselves. So Tiger, when we originally started to do this, you had brought this up because of Utah and your affection for a certain family there.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was part of it. The other part of it was the whole cyanide and the science and the death and the mystery and all that. Combine science and mystery and all that type of stuff plus Utah. It was just hitting me on multiple different. It was pushing a lot of different buttons at the same time.
Well, and yes, and again, this is one of those. Reading Vote for Pedro's. That knife came from him, and it is a. Here, I'm going to have to deviate real fast. Look at this thing. Come on, tell me that's not gorgeous.
You know what's really nice about Damascus steel? Pull it back out for a sec.
That's what she said.
You know what's really, really nice about Damascus steel?
What's that?
They have stripes.
Oh, that is true. Yeah. Yeah. I saw that. Yeah, but it's a beautiful piece. And I was thinking about, because, Vote for Pedro and I, a couple months back, had a conversation. We'll talk about that another time. But it got me thinking about doing stuff like this, like drinking the coffee while Tiger was talking. Come on, dude. You were supposed to laugh at that. That was a good one.
Okay, if you say so.
You didn't even play it. I was waiting for you to play it.
I didn't catch it.
I said, like drinking Turkish coffee while Tiger is talking. That,
and
having to keep me awake. Right? Never mind.
Okay, never mind.
Now the joke is gone, but it's not as funny when you have to explain it. What's up, Frank?
That happens a lot with you.
Say again?
That happens a lot with you. You're so cerebral that sometimes it's over people's heads.
Yep, kind of like the airplane. Anyway, let's get back to BR McKay. I don't know where that squirrel came from.
Yeah, ain't that the truth?
Anything about? Go ahead.
I said, ain't that the truth?
Yeah. Is there anything that anybody wants to know about that story? What we were hoping for, and unfortunately something came up and our guest wasn't able to join us, was we were wanting to find out about the collectability standpoint of bars like this. What would a shopkeep do with a bar like this? Is it something that they would flip? Is it something that they would send off to get melted? Is it something they wouldn't buy? Right. And unfortunately, that conversation didn't happen. We'll see if we can reschedule one to have that kind of connotation to it. But the the blood bar is a really cool story. And I thought, you know what, Tiger, let's continue to have this conversation because we have a lot of people who like to collect. You talked about the knife just a second ago.
Oh
There's a
yeah.
lot of people who like the stories, right? And so what do you guys think? Is this something that you guys would do? Is this, and we're not talking, you had $1 million to spend, you wanted to buy something crazy. This is standard. If it was within your budget, would you rather buy the 8 ounces of rounds, normal bars, or would you want to buy a story bar like this? Because that's the conversation that helps people understand, when they join the community and they're like, we're trying to find something. Where do you find these things? By having these conversations, we'll find out who has these kind of things in their areas, right? So we'll be able to identify um, pockets of people to help and get into groups and talk about these things. Unfortunately, we don't do that. And that doesn't really help community unless you're going to coin shows, and not everybody likes coin shows. So Tiger and I went over this bar, and we've had a lot of conversations with a lot of people. How many people have you talked to, Tiger, about the blood bar?
Oh, quite a bit. Quite a bit. Long before you and I had even become friends, I was talking to T the Silver Stacker, Tooly, and Long Live Coins, and quite a few people. So I was really into it. In fact, I went on, before I met you, I went on a YouTube search about the blood bar and whoever did stories on it, so I could get as much information, because like I said, it was hitting a lot of really cool buttons at the same time. So subsequently, I was seriously into it, and I wanted to do my own story on it. However, I was really looking forward to doing it with a partner, and the partner that I had at the time wasn't going to be as equal of a partner in the story, and subsequently it didn't come through. And then you and I were talking, and then I brought the subject up, and you were seriously into it. It's like, no way I could have someone that's going to bring an equal amount of value to the story. So,
It's a great story. And
yeah, and it's nice to have a partner to do these things with, if you know what I'm saying.
Absolutely. So Lewis, what did I miss? About 20 minutes of the show. No, it's all good. We're talking about the blood bar, collectible bars, things that people have paid high premiums for, and how have they performed in the last year and a half. When's a good time to buy them? When's not? Right now, we're going to go over a little bit more of the story about BR and McKay. So our BR McKay. So you guys have a little bit more about why the government went after them. It wasn't just the fact that they got sued. They were trying to be shut down. This all went all the way to court. The United States being the defendant, not a city, not another corporation. The U.S. went after BR McKay. So, Tiger, if you'll give me like 5 minutes, I'll do a quick overview, like real in-depth kind of pinpoint. You know what I mean? The key points of the story.
Go ahead.
So, BR McKay and Sons, Michael T. McKay, Louis T.K., and Richard B. Ferrari were the plaintiffs, and the person that went against them was the Environmental Protection Agency. So this was the EPA went after these folks. This was not a little issue. They were trying to shut them down. The company that they were working with was Film Recovery Systems Corporation, or FRS. They were based out of Delaware. BR McKay was in Utah. And so they were physically separated. The Delaware company subcontracted through their division in Illinois, and Illinois was where this particular processing plant that BR McKay and Sons were sending the information to was located. And so the story that Tiger told they would extract the film, the silver from the film. They used cyanide. There's a bunch of different methods. Some of them are EPA approved, others are not. Some are discouraged because of dangerous practices. And if you choose to do those, then you have to be labeled and they have to be marked and you have to have notification. You have to have open transparency. There's some very strict guidelines to that. And that's what B.R. McKay and Sons said they were doing, but never once relayed any information to any of the families, any of the workers, continued the unsafe practices, and a person died. And so they put this together, and the removal of the structure, the elements, the items, the silver, all that stuff, the cyanide was all being pulled out. They went through, stripped everything out, shut them down. And then because B.R. McKay was in Utah, and this is where I told Tiger, I actually know a little bit about this story because I lived in Salt Lake City at the time. Orrin Hatch, who was the governor, was there. And I'm like, I know this story. I remember the case. We've been at the Capitol. We were actually going through some stuff. We didn't get to see the case, but it was while this case was going on. And this was a big deal. And they would not pull him. They were saying, we're not going to release this. This is not going to happen. It wasn't this person who did it. Yes, they were divested, but we're not going to allow them to go. Norm Bangerter, real piece of work, went to bat for him, did a lot of great things for Utah, but there were a lot of people who didn't necessarily like him. And there just became this big conspiracy about some of the stuff that was going on. Some of it debunked, some of it wasn't. But we won't get into that list, that element of it. But after 2 attempts, they finally wrote a letter and said, if you won't allow us to move forward, then we're going to ask for a full dismissal. And they got their dismissal, and B.R. McKay got off. There were fines, stuff that had to be paid. I don't remember the number. And I think I want to say something like $7 million, something to that avail. But it was mostly recovered. Yeah, interesting story. And I can't remember. One of the motions was that the government demanded payment and they were denied. So it was, it was a big deal. So interesting story.
Which I find kind of interesting that a state stopped the federal government.
Well, and again, when you look at the way that government is set up, the states have their own individual say. Now, they are governed by federal law in certain instances, but in many, they get to make their own decisions. There are certain statutes and guidelines, and they can't break the amendments and things of that nature, right? There's federal law that they still have to follow. But they have a lot of leeway to make their own rules. And, we talked about in-species money and things of that nature.
Oh, yeah.
So
on one of the many conversations I had on the stream here, or on the channel here with Chris Pritt, he talked about the sovereignty of each state as well as the sovereignty of the nation, which reinforced the story that, Utah had the power to say no.
The sum of many create the one. And so we have to make sure that, we listen and understand the arguments in each area, because we have to understand what we're up against, or we have to understand how it helps us, or what what the misinformation might be. So if you live in if you live in those areas, or you're looking, we highly recommend that you get engaged with some legislation. Not that you have to write letters and everything, but just be informed about what's happening in your area, so that when they start to bring up information, you have good background. But when you're going through that kind of stuff, you'll find these cases. And when Tiger brought this to me, I'm like, dude, I know about this case. It's a great story. And I think this is the 4th or 5th time we've done this topic.
that you and I did both an individual video that led to the other person's channel, and then shortly after that we did a live stream on it. And I think this would be the fourth actual content that we made.
Yeah. So, but it's because it's a good story, right? There's a lot of good information that comes from this. So,
and if you guys want to see the actual actual video or the videos, what I would recommend is to go into each channel. Now, I think Frosty's is kind of similar in the fact that, with mine, if you go in to the channel and you look for the search magnifying glass, if you type in the word blood bar, you'll get all of those coming up at you. If you go to Frosty's, I think if you do the same thing and start typing in blood bar, I think you'll get his also. Did you am I telling the truth on that? Are you there?
oh yeah, I'm here. Yes and no. You should find the YouTube videos, but I've had a number of times where this stuff doesn't come up because it auto corrects me. Because the BYTE. So if you're going to type in my name, make sure you check it and make sure the ITE, because otherwise I won't show up. And I have tried to figure out ways. Well, no, it's, I mean, you know the story why I got my name, right?
I know, I'm teasing.
No, do you remember the story of how I got my name?
Yeah, you were big into the whole Viking thing long before it became YouTube, and then you brought that into your YouTube name when you started doing your own content.
No, my dad was a snowman and my mom was a vampire. Frostbite, get it? Yeah, never mind. All right.
I thought the story I told was accurate.
It is. Yeah, I used to do gaming, and we had a group called Frost Giants, an alliance called Frost Giants. We were in the top like 2,500, and I've been top of the world a couple times, and or top of the U.S. I should say a couple times, and yeah, it was a fun game. But we were talking about spending and wasting money. I blew a lot of money playing that game.
Oh, so, I bet.
Yeah. Frostbite has changed purposes over the little bit. So.
I think in our own ways, we've both on different topics wasted a ton of money.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But this is why we wanted to have this conversation, because the attitude that you had at the very beginning is the one to have. A lot of people forget that. They're like, yeah, but if I'd have bought this in silver, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, blah, blah, nothing. Did you make money? Yes. Are you stacking to offset financial woes? Yes. Did that do that for you? Yes. Congratulations. You have fulfilled your plan and you have protected yourself the way that you work so hard to do. Right. And that's the thing people miss.
Oh, yeah.
And you're
talking about again, even before that, you spent money on the Frostbite game or the Frostbite.
Oh yeah.
I spent money on everything else. In between lives, girls, airplanes, motorcycles, you name it, and then later on came the precious metals, and eventually I got tired of buying the same old, so I started buying some fun things and got caught up in the fun stuff, and now, for me personally, I'm not telling anybody else what to do. We're both not financial advisors. This is not financial advice from either one of us. Do your own due diligence on how you spend your hard-earned money. But now in retrospect, when I do get up to a point where I can start buying again, I'm going to lean towards the boring stuff. because if something happens to me, it's going to be a whole lot easier for my wife to understand, and I need to, prepare for her. But I had a great time buying all this stuff, but when you're hit with something hard, it changes your perspective on what you're doing.
It does, and you should be evaluating your situation frequently. Right? People should be looking every couple of years. You should be doing a self-assessment and looking at. We talked about this with the various things that you should look at when you're looking at making or preserving your money. What's one of the first things you look at? Operation security. What's the next one you look at? Evaluate your plan. Are you still doing or needing the thing that you're trying to do? Right? And it just goes into following that cycle. And if you're doing that, and if it's working, then you are accomplishing your goal, and that cannot be overstated.
True. And you have to prepare not only for yourself, but also for your family, because none of us will live forever, and we have to, as husbands and fathers and wives and mothers, try to take care of our family as best as we can.
Yeah, that's all we can do.
None of us are going to live forever, and you can't take it with you. So you leave what you've saved to the loved ones, and hopefully they've learned the lessons that you have left them, including, my case, which we've talked about quite a few times, my death letter. So.
Yeah, it's time for us to revisit that too, because again, another important thing that you can learn as you go through, you start to reiterate the importance of communication. The things you talk about will change over time. Your looks at money, the things that you do, the critical things become taken care of, right? If you've planned properly, you have less and less and less of those, because those things are getting taken care of. Your major bills are getting paid for, your house, your car, whatever, all those things are getting taken care of. So as those things start being, paid for, you put away, you take care of yourself, you reinvest some of those earnings, you work to continue to grow yourself. Collectability. Now, Tiger completely changed the way he's looking at this, and that's absolutely fine for him to do. But if you have the means and you want to collect, you can still collect. Both of these gained value. This more than doubled itself. It still has a premium of about $45.
I'll bring it back up. Hold on, let me get the right screen.
Right. And so there are, oh, that's cool, Ringmaster Ray. Thanks, brother. I hope you're doing well. We need to catch up.
Same here, Ray. I haven't heard from you in a while. Marital life must be pretty good to you, dude. And I'm going to say this again. Well, I met Ray a couple times. The last time I met him, man, the guy really buffed out. That his wife must be like a gift from God. He went from a good-looking guy to an extremely good-looking guy. That girl must have really, really been the cat's meow. So congratulations, Ray.
Yeah. You deserve a good person. I'm glad you found joy.
So let's see here. You're welcome, Frank. But those are the numbers that I paid for in the past up here, and the dollars per ounce. Now the lower numbers are what was actually sold on eBay. The upper numbers are what was being asked for on eBay. And so you can see then the lower numbers, some of them kind of doubled. And considering that we have gone from anywhere from double to quadruple back down again with the volatility of silver. So you know, in actuality, I did come ahead, but honestly, at that time, I was enjoying the auctions, and I was caught up in the hype and the dopamine release that comes with an auction and the fun, and I was working like a dog, making enough money that I had extra money to spend. I probably would have had a whole lot more if I would have bought what I like to call the boring stuff. But it all depends on what you're trying to accomplish.
Well, and so Barbara Wall's like, hey, you're glad you chart things. Yeah, this is why, and again, I'm going to repeat this a lot. If you didn't go see the live stream that Tiger and I did, where we talked about him on his channel, what's going on, we talked about a lot of things. And we have an opportunity, and we're going to continue to talk about these things because, again, we're here to help the community. But there's a lot of people who talk about, oh, well, I would do this with my silver, or I do this with my silver, or I do this with my silver, and this is where I get it, and this is how I buy it. Everybody has the strategy. Everybody has their own way of doing it. And it's nice to listen to different people. It really is fun to listen to what they have to do, what they have to say about it. But when somebody who's going through some really hard times is being taken care of, and you can absolutely observe this in real time, as Tiger has talked about all these things he's done to prepare himself. And when it happened, he was prepared. And it's his preparedness that has allowed him to continue to make sure those things are met. His needs are taken care of. Yes, he's having to sell some stuff and get things taken care of while he's going through his treatment. However, because of what he's done, he's been able to sustain. And this is a real time, real life. We get to walk somebody through exactly why he did what he did, how he's done it, and really get to learn some valuable lessons from this. This isn't a theory practice piece. This is a real life, in person, he's going through it, no shit kind of piece. Right? And so this is an amazing opportunity that a lot of us would never really get to understand or see, because Tiger is willing to share some of the stuff that he's going through, and because he genuinely wants to help. And what better way than to be fighting the fight that he's fighting and still want to help the community? I mean, come on, tell me that's not cool. So we've got to get this stuff out there, and we got to make sure that we really kind of pay attention to what he's done. He's in a good place, right? And if his treatments continue to go well, he gets to work a little bit more, get that stuff back, gets to get into his swing of things. He'll be back at the same thing he was doing before, and to a smarter degree, but to the same degree, because his mission, his goal is to make sure that his wife's taken care of. He's transparent as hell, and I think we have a lot to learn by watching him.
I appreciate that. Let me interject here. Stacking Surfer, welcome to Tiger Cub. I appreciate you so much.
Hey, what's up, brother?
So, but no, I in a way, I've always been a little bit altruistic. And even though life has thrown me a lot of curveballs in my career and other ways, I've been fortunate enough that God has helped me through those and given me a great second wife, a chance to be part of this community. God woke me up in 2021, which allowed me to start saving, because I was horrible with saving fiat dollars. My wife was too. And when you start stacking this stuff, it's so pretty, you don't want to sell it. So it makes you keep it until you have no choice in the matter. So that there is a lot of truth to that. And to answer your question, Frank, You have a VA question. Are you rated through the VA Veterans Administration?
Yeah.
I need to get involved with that. I haven't done that.
Then you and I need to talk. I can help you get set up with that easy.
Yeah, that would be great, especially in light of all this healthcare stuff.
Yeah.
But no, I haven't done that. I did plus or minus 8.5 years. Started off with the Army Reserve in Independence, Missouri. When I graduated, I went to a air and land cav in Pennsylvania. I don't know why, but I've always had trouble obtaining my DD-214, although, I ended up getting 2 VA loans on houses in my life. So they obviously recognize I'm a veteran. So, it's just, probable, just typical me fighting computers. I hate saying it, but I really hate it. I hate the fact that I'm not so smart with computers. I can be taught, but new stuff, it's always a new wall. So I hope.
So here's a question. We're gonna deviate because this is an important topic. How many of you out there are vets that don't have the information you feel you need to be able to work your plan? If you don't feel like you're rated to the right area, you can get a hold of the DAV, the Disabled American Veterans. If you are rated, you can get with them, talk to them about what's going on. They will walk you through. It used to be called the swarms. I can't remember what the name of the item is now, but it's like Title 34, Chapter C, and there's a sub-paragraph in there that talks about ratings. That ratings venture is something that will tell you what the doctors have to look for, what they're required to identify in order for you to be rated at individual levels. If you have histories of infections in your chest and you've done whatever, and it's been going on throughout your military service, you got out, you still have it, that's all in your record. You provide all that information with certain terminology, they'll evaluate you for it. I can't tell you they'll evaluate you at anything other than 0. I don't have that information, but they can evaluate you for it. And then once all your evaluations are done, they put it together and then they give you a total value. If you've not done that, or you need help with that, or you need to help get contact with the DAV, you let me know and I will be more than happy to connect you with the information. How to get your DD-214, right? How to connect with that, get your proof of service or your proof of disability letters, and health.gov, I think, is that health.va.gov or va.health.gov. But yeah, there's a number of sites that are, they're not tough to use. You have to set username, passwords, and all that other stuff up, but you can look at all your VA data. If you have any questions, let me know, and I'll make sure you guys get connected. Because I don't want my veterans out there not knowing what they need to know.
Yeah, basically, and I hate saying this, especially in current day world, if you've served this government, if you've served in the military, current day situations is they're totally happy to forget you. But there are ways out there to not be forgotten, and I'm not that good at it. But my dad was in Korea. He was a sergeant in the Air Force. My grandfather was a sailor during World War II. I think it was 2. Maybe it was, no, I think it was 1. But my grandfather was really great at trying to get everything connected. And my dad, I don't know how he got connected. I don't know if he did that on his own, but I remember his brother, who ended up losing his legs because of alcoholism. he got his brother involved with the healthcare system with the VA because of his service during that time. So there are ways, but they'll be willing to forget you because it doesn't cost the government any money. So I appreciate you.
Yeah, I don't think that's the way that works. The laws have changed a lot, and the laws right now really do support the veteran. There are so many changes that have gone on within that programs to improve it. Pre 2000, it was horrible. By 2008, it had started to improve. By 2012, it was significantly better. The systems that you have now almost all communicate with each other. I can go from VA to va.health.gov to va.gov. I can go to those different major sites and they all connect. I can look at my health record and then go look at my service record. I can print a VA file and then turn around and go back and email my physician through secure messaging. They're all interconnected. So it's a total different world now. And if it's just, we need to get information to you. I'll get you some videos to watch. We'll connect you. And again, if anybody's having this issue, let me know and I will walk you through. Matter of fact, I think I'll put something together for next Sunday and it'll just be some of the things you need to do. I'll actually see if I can get a DAV member to chat. I think I know some people that might be able to do that. So let me see what I can find.
Appreciate it.
It's really important. And again, this is something I know that I completely changed directions on us. But if you're a vet and you don't have the services you think you need, good grief, let us know. Right. And I don't speak for the government. I don't speak for the VA. I'm just another vet that wants to see our vets taken care of. And so just be clear. I'll do what I can. Yeah.
We need to do an episode where we talk to our veterans, but I do want to get prepared for that. You know how you have your sailor's hat?
Yeah.
I forget what you call it, but the Cracker Jack hat.
Mm-hmm.
The only hat I can find is my dress blues hat, which takes up a good bit of table space. I have looked and looked and looked, and I cannot find the little cap that you'd wear that folds up and you can put it around your belt. I forget.
Army Navy surplus.
What's that?
Go to Army Navy surplus. Type in a description of what you want. You'll probably find it.
Is that a .com?
Yep. Army Navy surplus. Just go to Google, type in Army Navy surplus.
Okay. Because I'd like to, if we ever did something like that, I kind of thought if you threw in your hat and I threw in my hat, then it kind of would make it kind of cool.
Yeah, we definitely can do that. I'm all for that. And we just called it a cover. So it's just our white cover.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure there's probably a proper name for it, but.
Yeah, it kind of looks like an envelope.
Oh, yours? Yeah.
Yeah, mine looks like an envelope. Yours looks like the Cracker Jack box.
Yeah.
There you go. You've kept that thing in good. You've kept that thing in good shape all these years.
No, my mother kept that thing in good shape all these years.
Here's for good moms.
Yeah, she kept that thing. I sent it to her one time and I said, hey, this is one of my final caps. I think it was my final cap, or maybe it was my first cap. It might have even been my first cap. It was my first cap. And I gave it to her and said, keep this. Take care of it. I will not do it. Take care of this thing for me. And 2-3 years ago, he said, I got something for you, and sent it in the mail. And I was like, it is so cool. So yeah, she's great with that kind of stuff.
You have a good mom. I'm glad you still have her.
Yeah, she's a cool lady.
I'm going to tell you what, for someone who's lost both parents, it sucks being the top of the food chain. I used to tell my son, I don't want to be the king. I want to be the prince. It's more fun to be the prince. So I hope you never have the feeling of being the king of the family, that your mom is always the queen.
Oh yeah, no, it's I don't even look at it that way. It's just I don't say okay, so I say it's just family.
Oh, yeah.
But it's just family. Very, very few friends fit in that circle. So I take my family very seriously.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, I love my family. But yeah, my mom's mom. She'll always be mom. So here or there, she's always mom. And yeah, I love her to death.
Understood. So have we covered everything? We're getting close to an hour now.
Yeah, we can go ahead and wrap up. What'd you guys think? I mean, this was just general chit chat, talking about a bunch of different things. I'm wired for sound after drinking all that Turkish coffee, though.
And please put it in the chat. You liked the conversation. You didn't like the conversation. You like the topic of the blood bar. If you like the topic of the blood bar, please put in the word blood. And if you didn't, put in there no blood. It'd be kind of cool to see what you all think, because I want to present information that you all like to come. Same thing with Frosty. Frosty did make mention of the live stream that I did. What was it, 2 days ago?
Yep.
Where we talked about silver and what's going on with my health issues. I don't want to belabor the point and drag things out. So if you want to hear that, feel free to go and watch that one. I also presented some really fun clips in there that I think you guys will like. Ringmaster Raid, Blood and Crips.
He's got jokes. Not very good ones, but they're jokes.
Yeah, oh my God, I would love to go back out to Lubbock, Texas, and hit that coin store with him. We went there.
You and Ray are the reason. You know the reason that both you and Ray are in my close family circle, right?
We paid you money?
No. My mom said always, hey, you're supposed to treat special people special.
Oh, here we go with that again. I'm tempted to send my friend over to you, don't you?
But that bumps.
Should I or shouldn't I? Should I or shouldn't I?
Send him over. Send him over.
Silence! I kill you!
Mr. Achmed.
He's
All right.
He's my new best buddy.
I know you love that. That's funny. I'll pick you up my short bus.
That works.
Thanks, Ray. All right, guys. Well, hey, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate you, ladies. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next week because we're going to get back on schedule. This time it will be over on Frostbyte's channel. Please put it in your calendar. We would love to see you come over there, hang out, learn a whole bunch of stuff. And that's pretty much that. So I want to thank you all. Thank you, Frosty.
Take care, Tiger.